So there's a new film out called The American Society of Magical Negroes.
I can't even believe they even allowed that to happen, because you could get shot for using that. What? Like, allowing people to just say it because it's a film title. These are the arbitrary rules now. You can't say it if Jay-Z raps in it in a song, in a platinum award-winning hit where millions of people are singing it. But if you put it as a film trailer, you can say it.
Well, this caused quite a lot of controversy, and actually, I don't think it's as controversial as people are making it.
Really?
I actually think people are taking this way more seriously than needs to be taken. Should we watch?
Then it deserves. Okay.
Yeah, then it deserves, exactly. Let's watch this trailer.
I know you can feel their discomfort, Aaron. Watching you walk through a room full of white people was the most painful thing I've ever seen.
Excuse me. Sorry.
I want to take you to a job interview. There's a recruiting class starting right now, and we got to get you in it.
Welcome to the American Society of Magical Negroes.
I don't really understand.
It's easier to say. What's the most dangerous animal on the planet?
Shark.
White people, when they feel uncomfortable. White people feeling uncomfortable precedes a lot of bad stuff for us. That's why we fight white discomfort every day. Because the happier they are, the safer we are.
The name needs a little updating, maybe like magical black people, or I guess that doesn't have the same ring.
You ready?
Oh, wow.
Your first client is a Jason Munn. His morale is far too low.
Hey.
Hey.
Darn it. I was hoping there was a station right next to him.
Oh, is this one spoken for?
No.
Yeah, it's actually fun and weirdly relaxing. It's like being a secret agent with none of the danger.
Hey, I'm Lizzie.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
She's great.
Yeah, she's cool.
You kidding? Come on, man. She's smart and funny.
I know what you were doing going on about her. You're trying to set us up.
No, that's not what I was doing.
You cannot have a relationship with Lizzie now. Because if you don't put Jason first, everyone's magic will fail.
I've always felt like it's my job to make white people feel comfortable, and here it literally is. But maybe it shouldn't be.
I got a great plan to ask her out, but I'm gonna need your help.
Do you think you could, like, work your magic?
Hey, are you talking about me?
Hey.
Oh my God. Wait, are you?
I think we can stop it there. But that's weird, right?
That's genuinely horrifying. It's so bad.
Yeah, it's such a silly premise.
But the thing is, honestly, I can't imagine. First of all, that guy did, I don't know how to say this without getting in trouble. Even like the main character, like he's mixed race.
And he's British.
Like, why does everyone with a tan qualify as black in the US?
I think they do.
I find it so bizarre.
It's really weird. There are loads of people in America who are black, who I'm like, are you though?
And also, like, why is everything up? Like, America is a country with like what 350 million people.
Something like that.
Of all of like loads of Hispanic people, loads of people from Asia. Like, why is everything up against the white man? Like, it's a very multicultural society.
That's a very
like, do you
good
not run
question,
into anyone else? Like, even when I grew up in Ghana, I ran into like, I don't know, Thai people, Vietnamese, Lebanese people, like Indian people. Even like African cities that are pretty, like, by most living standards not great, are pretty like metropolitan. What is this?
There's a weird relationship between the blacks and the whites in America.
It's very, but I don't. Wow.
Sorry to interrupt the video, but I thought I'd announce that we have a new line of merch. This is our aesthetics collection. So I was thinking that in the face of AI art debasing the very concept of art, actually we'd do something quite positive. So we commissioned a series of paintings that were actually really beautiful and could be something that we could present outside of politics. So for example, we have this magnificent painting of a ship weathering a storm, which I thought was just really nice. And we have, of course, a glorious, sort of surrealist, giant white tiger drinking from a lake. But also there are other things that are just kind of interesting, such as the chap lost in cyberspace, or something that I thought might, in time for Christmas, make a great present to your mum or something like that. A beautiful cat lounging on some clouds. Basically, we wanted to do some stuff that wasn't just political. So things that were just nice and beautiful and interesting, because that's also a part of the world we want to curate. So you can go over to shop.lotuses.com. Buying the merch is a really great way of supporting us and means that we can live past demonetization. And I'm sure they make great gifts to the folks as well. So
I can't believe someone funded this.
I can believe it, right? It's very American, though, right?
It's very niche.
Yeah.
It's strange.
But it's just very, very much American. But of course, this annoyed a lot of people, saying that white people are the most dangerous animals on the planet. And I was like, come on, guys, you don't need to get that sensitive about it, right?
But the thing is, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that, like, I think Nick Cannon said something even more derogatory. He said something about like white people not even being human or something, and he still gets to have a career.
Yeah,
right. He gets to have a career and breed like a cockroach and impregnate as many women as he physically can.
Yeah.
And like at this point, it's like the standards are very clear. You can say whatever you want about certain people and certain races. There's no point even in getting upset, right? Like,
and that's what everyone's.
The floodgates are now open, right? Because like, how do you go back from here? You can't go and try and cancel these people because then you're still racist. So,
well, that's what everyone's objecting to, being like, hang on, you can't say that white people are the most dangerous animal on the planet. It's like, is that an insult? It doesn't feel like an insult to me.
You really just have to ignore them, and it's also it's strange enough. It's also quite debilitating because you're positing like white people as like the standard, like, oh, they're so dangerous, they can take me down. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the Chinese have a pretty good chance of that as well.
But the thing is as well, it's just not really true, is it? I mean, the average
it's
white person is rather polite normally.
Well, I mean, in Britain, I mean, working class white boys are like the bottom of like scholastic attainment in schools. It's you can only make such statements and assumptions, one, if you have a very warped worldview, in which case I don't think there's much helping there, or you're just misinformed and you're not interested in that,
or maybe you just really hate them because they're white.
Yeah, which again is so because that's assuming that they hate you because you're black. I'm like, newsflash, no one cares about you, period. Like, most people are consumed with their own problems.
Yeah, but that's also pretty true as well. Like, most people just don't think like this.
Genuinely, most people are very self-centered for good reason.
Yeah,
it's such a waste of energy to not like someone because of such arbitrary things.
But this is an entire movie. There's an entire industry in America that deals with essentially being oppositional to white people and trying to conscript every other race of people on the planet in opposition to white people. And so you get Chinese people being like, oh yes, I've been impressed by the white man. It's like, really, have you? Come on.
Well, it was an industry. So at this point, I don't think there's any kind of social utility, or at least they're not even feigning it is. It's just milking as much money as possible. It's kind of like, diversity, equity, inclusion, all these HR. I mean, the only people that have benefited from these sorts of movements are HR departments and film executives and anyone that can make money off this grievance niche.
And white women as well, because they're the ones who fill HR departments. And if there's one people who need their power reduced, it's white women.
Like college-educated women.
Well, I say that as a married man. If my wife was,
I love you, darling.
Yeah. I couldn't resist. So anyway, this is one racist problem with this film that everyone has, but there's another one which is from the other side. This film is also racist towards black people.
Oh, okay, that's
so. The first,
is it American as well?
Yes, also American. Yeah, so you can't please anyone, so why bother trying? But this term, the title of the film originally comes from a term coined by a black film director called Spike Lee, in which he says the magical Negro trope is used as a black side character who's a plot device whose purpose is to advance the story of a white protagonist. Which
are these people ever happy?
No.
I mean, like,
literally no.
I've heard of Spike Lee. Isn't he the guy that wrote sort of a black comic book for Marvel or something along those lines?
I don't know if he did a comic book. As far as I'm aware, he's a film director who has a really big problem with white people.
Yeah, I do think he may have pitched it, but I know he kind of delved into the world of comic books.
Really?
And like,
I mean, he may well have done.
I think that's where I've heard of him because I honestly gave up on films in Hollywood. Years ago. Yeah, and it's sad because I used to love films.
That's because Hollywood used to be amazing.
Yeah,
I saw a post on Twitter the other day just saying, Hollywood can only produce so many films a year, and I'm like, look, man, when I was a kid, Hollywood used to put out a dozen bangers every year.
Yeah.
It's just every film was a great film. And what's wrong? What's happening?
Well, it's because they let people do what they want. Like the fact that American Pie would never exist today is so deeply depressing, and it's not even like the pinnacle of film. Or
it's really not.
But the thing is,
it was at least funny,
And I feel like I can't believe Adam Sandler's happened to have a career. Like if he was born like 10 years later, he would be nothing.
Yes.
Because all his films are terrible, but he had the freedom to make tell terrible jokes and play on stereotypes. You can't do that now.
But also, where are just the great films? I mean, did you watch Ridley Scott's Napoleon?
No.
No, awful, absolutely atrocious, and it's a real shame because I mean, Ridley Scott has directed some absolutely classic films,
Yeah.
but B, Napoleon is such an amazing story. How can you mess this up?
Well, it's because the thing is, they've inevitably put themselves or put constraints on themselves, and they feel like it's for diversity and inclusion. When actually they're robbing good stories of being told.
Yeah,
because you always have to hit these kind of tick these boxes, and it's completely irrelevant. I just find it so like I genuinely Nollywood films are known for being absolutely awful. I mean, to the extent that you will actually see the camera in the shot of like the terrible bad acting, the terrible audio, and I still enjoy watching that more now than like the films that are being released because at least it's authentic.
Yeah, I can get past the production quality.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have like a 50-kilo woman beating up someone like The Rock and
oh my God,
pretending like that's reality. It's just so bizarre.
And it's definitely putting a warped view of
female power.
Yeah, I wanted to frame it a bit more gently than that, but it's putting that in. I keep seeing these posts. I saw one a while ago, and it just really stuck with me. Where this woman had posted on Reddit being like, "Oh, I was having a play fight with my boyfriend, and I was winning, and I told him, okay, really start fighting, and he just threw me down, and that was it." And I was just like,
yeah, that's why she said play fight. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, well, what did you think was going to happen? Like you did, like literally, her mind believes that men and women are roughly of equal strength,
and also it distorts. It actually robs women of their real power. I'm like, why would you? The beauty is the dichotomy. Your power isn't being able to beat up literally a building with feet in the form of a man.
Yeah.
It's the power of your femininity, of your feminine grace, of your sensuality, all the things that you bring that he cannot in a million years bring. And now they've distorted that to actually the standard is now men.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? And then this is the same thing with this. Like the standard is white
people.
The
Exactly.
standard is men. They put these things on a pedestal and rob the alternatives of having any virtues or graces of their own.
Well, yeah, exactly.
It's tragic.
And I think these people would actually struggle living in a majority black country. This is what I...
Oh, well, yeah.
Because the thing is, like, we have sometimes, like, when I was a kid in school, you'd have, like, these, I can't remember the name we call them. We had a term for them where, like, British and American kids, mainly their parents that are Ghanaian, but they grew up in America, so they were imbued in American culture. Right. And they would come to school in Ghana because their parents were trying to discipline them or trying to get them. And they completely hated it. And I'm like, but this is a black majority country. You are home. Yeah. Hello, welcome back. And they hated it because they're like, yeah, you need to go and fetch your water. The power's out. You know, what roads? They're dirt roads. They're bumpy. Get ready. Bumpy ride. Yeah. Like the realities of how people actually lived was a complete shock. I'm like, exactly. You see, skin deep is very shallow. You need to look past it because people have real problems.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what we used to call them.
Suddenly the white man doesn't sound so bad.
Exactly. But it's funny because now when they come as tourists, they will come to like, I don't know, some of the tourist spots like the Door of No Return, like the Elmina Castle where they looked at where the slaves and all of that. And you have these black Americans, they're crying. They're like, we was kangs and cranes.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, where? What do you mean you were kings? Like kings and queens where?
Egypt?
Like, who sells the kings and queens? I'm like, do you understand the history? This is just a brutal industry. Like this. Yeah. The thing is, most people that have a better knowledge are pretty agnostic about the history. They don't get attached to it because they're like, look, I don't really have anything to get attached to because my life still sucks. Like, I don't have a great quality of life. Can we sort that out first?
Yeah.
Before I get attached to things that my ancestors went through that I never did.
Yeah.
Personally, it's strange.
But the point is, it's about creating a justification for why you don't have to do any hard work. Really.
Well, yeah, it's an excuse. Yeah, exactly.
That's all it's about because like no one who's actually successful is sat there on this victim mentality of just being like, well, I can't get ahead. No, you do. You just have to continue grinding and getting ahead.
I think most successful people are just so grateful for like what they have that they just feel the responsibility to keep going. Like, I mean, that's kind of because, you know, I speak to like friends and family back home and I'm just like, oh, I'm so grateful that I open the tap and the water's flowing. Like, because sometimes, like, seriously, when I fly back home, the first thing I do is, you know, is there water in the poly tank? Is the generator on? Like, I'm trying to look at the basic amenities.
Yeah.
And so for people to not understand what a gift it is to live in this country despite all those problems, I find strange.
See, I'm totally used to it, but I guess I would be, wouldn't I? But yeah, the thing is, like, I read this interview with this guy, and the director is a guy called Kobe Libby.
Okay. Is that his given name?
That is apparently his given name.
Okay.
His mum was Italian or something, and his dad was his African or something like that. Okay. But it's just a really like non-threatening thing, and so many people have taken this very, very seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like, look, it's kind of a comedy. It's playing on a trope that was coined 20 odd years ago. Everyone's getting really upset about it. And initially I was kind of like, but I looked into it and it just didn't seem like that big a deal. And so,
I mean, I think this is where like the American right, I don't know if that's probably the best way I can coin it, kind of tie themselves up in knots over nothing.
They do, yeah.
Because people know that these things will cause outrage on one side of the political spectrum and excite people on the other side. Or people that get excited by this are also excited by the rage of the other side.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I just think, look, at the end of the day, there's some realities you need to accept. The floodgates are open. You're not going to make these things go away. The best you can do is just ignore them or treat them with the irrelevance that they are.
Well, that's the thing. People, again, it's putting the thing on the pedestal and giving it way more power than it deserves.
Or attention.
Yeah.
Like how many, every time I read like a trans story or like something like this or like a white people discrimination story, I just skim past it because this is not important. There will always be people like that. That's it. You just have to accept it.
Yeah.
So I don't really care. Let's focus on important things.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest with you, this might well be amusing. Like it's a comedy.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's just, it might even be taking the mickey out of people that genuinely have this worldview that the white people are the most dangerous. And I'm like, wow, don't you have taxes to pay? That is your issue. So
you got to be up for work tomorrow.
Exactly. Seriously. I mean, it's bizarre.
That's a great response that you have taxes to pay. It's like, God, yeah, I do have taxes to pay.
Exactly. What?
God.
It's so, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's old age, but I just don't know. At old age, I'm 27. I don't have the energy to be upset about these things at all.
No, I'm totally with you. But I think there's a great point. Like, just for the American right, just don't get upset by this.
Yeah.
Actually, mock it if you have to. But just look
Don't
at it.
give it attention.
Yeah,
See, the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference.
Exactly. Yeah.
These kinds of people hate being ignored.
Yeah.
They hate feeling like they're not making a headway.
They hate feeling that they're not getting a rise out of it.
Exactly.
So that's what they're trying to do. And that's why I'm just very much like, okay, well, white people are the most dangerous people on the planet. That sounds scary.
And look, it's a land of the free, right? It reinforces you can say what you want genuinely. Like it's because the thing is, when people get upset about it, they're like, oh, what are you going to do about it? And it's like, oh, are you going to threaten their right to free speech? No, just do what you want.
I'm gonna laugh at it.
If you enjoyed that segment from Podcast of the Lotus Eaters, why don't you check out my latest Broconomics on the return on investment of seeking a woman? Spoiler alert, it isn't good. Anyway, come and follow us on Twitter or at lotuseaters.com, which you really should do because, let's face it, it's an election year in the US coming up, so we won't be on YouTube that much longer. Follow us there.